Hello chaps, welcome to John Robson Guitar Tuition once again. As always, I do hope you're well. Today I'm going to show you a little trick for using the pentatonic scale that can really enhance your soloing. It's a trick that's been put to good use by many guitarists over the years. I guess probably the most prominent guy at the moment who's known for doing this is John Mayer. But, you know, honourable mentions must also go to the likes of John Frusciante, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix. Even the likes of Mark Knopfler or Gary Moore have dabbled in this from time to time. Essentially, it's that way of playing that you find that any melodic blues or blues rock guitarist tends to use when they're improvising melodically. So what is going on with this? Well, essentially what it's all about is, rather than sitting on one pentatonic scale for the entirety of your solo, what you do is you play to the chord changes. So let's imagine you're playing over something that's going from a G chord to an A minor chord to a D chord, for example. Over the G chord you'd play G major pentatonic. Over the A minor chord you'd play A minor pentatonic. Over the D major chord you'd play D major pentatonic, and so on and so on. Now, what this requires, obviously, is a pretty good level of fluency with the pentatonic scale. So if you are at that kind of stage where, you know, as far as you're concerned, A minor lives at the 5th fret and D minor lives at the 10th fret and E minor lives at the 12th fret, then you're going to need to perhaps brush up on your pentatonic knowledge a little bit. But fear not, there is a fact sheet that you can download from below this video with all of the information that you need to get a little bit more fluent with it. I'll also post a link to a pentatonic lesson I did years ago now, back when I still had hair. It's a little bit rough around the edges, that lesson, but the content is still pretty valid for what we're talking about here. So let's assume you can do this. Let's assume you can move from one pentatonic scale to another, you know, fluently anywhere on the neck. If you can do that, you might end up with a solo that sounds a bit like this. Now that is just a one take, warts and all kind of run through that I did earlier on today. It's not entirely using that technique that I'm talking about here. I do straight outside the pentatonic in a couple of little places, but it is very, very much at the core of what's going on. So with that in mind, here's the chord sequence I was playing over, with each of the pentatonic scales kind of shown at the correct time for each chord, if you like. So that's how the pentatonic scales kind of match up with the chords. Now let's have a look at how you can navigate your way between them on the neck. Right then, here's how you can locate the different pentatonic scales needed to play a different one over each chord in the backing track. We're going to start with G major pentatonic because the first chord is a G major chord. So here's how you locate a major pentatonic. Basically, just take your little finger, that's the one, and move it along the length of the low E string until you find the desired root note. And the one we're going to use is here. That's a G note there at the 15th fret. So once you've got that, that's your reference point. Simply construct your pattern 1 pentatonic box from that point. So you get. There it is. So that's G major pentatonic. Now, when the chord change comes along, we go to a D chord. So we're going to need a D major pentatonic. And you could do exactly the same thing again. Just locate the D note on that string and then there's your D major pentatonic. But the problem is, if you want to move fluently and smoothly from one chord to another, that's quite a distance to cover. It's a 5 fret leap that you've got to make. It would be much simpler if you had the D major pentatonic in some kind of position up here overlapping the G major pentatonic, and this is where a knowledge of your remaining pentatonic shapes really does become useful. There are plenty of guitar players out there who can play it in this shape all day long, but things start to get a little bit hazy when they move away from that. So if that's you, then you need to just brush up on your remaining pentatonic patterns. So here's how you kind of move up the neck using those patterns to our 12th fret home bass. Basically, the second note in pattern 1, that one there, becomes the first note in pattern 2. There it is. And the second note in pattern 2, that's that one, becomes the first note in pattern 3. So now we have D major pentatonic overlapping the G major pentatonic, and you can move smoothly from one to another. G major to D major, like that. Very, very efficient way of doing it. Now the next chord that we're going to be needing to play over is an A minor chord. So here's how you locate a minor pentatonic. Instead of using your little finger, you use your index finger and just move it up along the length of the low E string until you come to the root note that you need, which in this case is A there at the 5th fret. Once again, build your pentatonic box out of that. And then use the same daisy chain kind of idea of moving up from pattern 1 into pattern 2, into pattern 3, into pattern 4. And that's an A minor pentatonic overlapping our G major and D major pentatonic. The D major pentatonic will also work as the B minor pentatonic because it is the same thing as the B minor pentatonic, and we have a B minor chord coming later on. Likewise, that A minor pentatonic is the same thing as the C major pentatonic, and we have a C major chord coming up later, which is exactly what you'd use over that. So that A minor, C major pentatonic over both of those chords. Next up, we need to look at an F major pentatonic. So once again, little finger moving up that string until we get to an F note. Now that is actually close enough to the G major that you can just kind of slide back and forth between the two and it'll sound pretty good. But you know, in keeping with what we're looking at here, let's see if we can find a way of overlapping it, and of course we can, just using the same technique. The second note in pattern 1 becomes the first note in pattern 2, so here's F major pentatonic in our kind of comfort zone here around the 12th fret. And that is also the same thing as a D minor pentatonic, which is the scale that we'll use over the D minor chord, which comes up later as well. Into the last few chords now, we have an A major chord. Well, A major, pattern 1 of A major pentatonic, there's the A note there at the 17th fret. It's also down here at the 5th fret, but that's out of shot, so we're going to use this one. A major pentatonic. And likewise, that's kind of close enough that you can just slide the G major pentatonic up a couple of frets and it'll still sound nice and fluent and everything. But you know, continuing with the theme of making everything fit in this little part of the neck here, A major. So the first note in pattern 1 of A major is the same as the second note in pattern 5 of A major. And there it is, as I say, in our 12th fret comfort zone where we initially located the G major pentatonic. Next chord we need is B flat major, so we want a B flat major pentatonic. Well, that's easy, isn't it? All you got to do is move the A major pentatonic that we've just seen up 1 fret and it becomes B flat. And there it is. And the final chord that we haven't dealt with yet is the C minor chord. So we'll need a C minor pentatonic, and once again do exactly the same thing. There's C note there, so I'm using my index finger to locate the C note. Build that position number 1 pentatonic box out of that, and then second note in pattern 1 becomes the first note in pattern 2. Second note in pattern 2 becomes the first note in pattern 3. So there are all of the scales. Here they all are in that context, played along with the backing track. So there you have it. Now you'll have noticed when I was playing that solo earlier, I was kind of moving around the neck quite a bit. I wasn't kind of sticking in one place at the 12th fret like I've just mentioned there. But crucially, what you need to be able to do is wherever you are on the neck, you need to be just able to go into whatever pentatonic scale is appropriate for the chord that you're playing over without having to move a long way to get there. And the best way of attaining that level of fluency is just to pick one part of the neck and work on that one part of the neck, and then another part of the neck, and eventually you'll kind of join all the different positions on the neck together so you can do it along the whole length of the neck. And don't forget, there's a backing track for this lesson that you can download from below this video, as well as the previous lesson on pentatonic scales that I mentioned earlier, and the fact sheet kind of detailing all the pentatonic information that you need. Now, if you're at the stage where you can play all your 5 pentatonic patterns reasonably well, but you struggle to come up with licks anywhere other than the sort of position 1 box pattern that we're all really familiar with, then take a look at the lesson that I put up last week. I think it's called something like How to Never Run Out of Licks. There's a lot of good info in there on how you can generate new licks in any of the 5 patterns, and it's pretty much how I learned to become fluent in all of those patterns myself. So, you know, it worked for me, so it should work for you as well. What else do I need to mention? Oh yes, there's still time just to get your entries in to win the fabulous Blackstar Fly 3 practice amp package. The package consists of the amplifier and the power supply. It is a battery powered amp, but it also has a power supply, and you can win it. How, I hear you ask? Well, all you got to do is enter the competition, and the link is down there in the description box with all the rest of the links that I've mentioned so far. The closing date for that competition is as soon as this channel reaches 6,000 subscribers, and we're getting there. We're 5,900 and however many it is at the moment. So a big thank you to everybody who's hit the subscribe button. Why not do it yourself and hit the notification bell? That way you'll never miss another one of these videos. And yeah, have a go at the competition. You've got nothing to lose. And speaking of having nothing to lose, if you would like some tailored one-to-one guitar tuition, then get in touch with me via the details at the end of this lesson. If you live on Teesside in the northeast of England, where the sun is shining brightly again today, you can come along for a face-to-face lesson, or wherever you are in the world you can have a lesson via Skype. And as I say, you've got nothing to lose, because whichever way you do it, your first lesson is of course free. Right then, that's pretty much it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. As I say, if you have, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And until next time, have a great time, and I'll bid you bye for now, folks. See you next time.